salli ala A request for a Surah Fatiha for all of our marhumin. Bismillah ar-Rahman Sorry, my bad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعجل فرجه وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم من مات ولم يعرف إمام زمانه مات ميتة جاهلية. We begin first and foremost by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His infinite mercy in allowing us to commemorate this grand Jashan, this grand Khushkhali in honor of many occasions, one of them being the formal coronation of the Imam of our time, Imam Zamana, Ajalallahu ta'ala farajum sharif, salawat. Allah ta'ala. We ask Allah to keep us on His seerah and to allow us to be with Him in this world and the hereafter. Briefly today I wanted to focus upon why this Eid is called Eid al-Zahra, Eid al-Shuja, and a bit more on why our Imam is so important given the times that we're going through today. To begin with, first and foremost, this Eid is called as many names. There's many names for this. The first being Eid al-Shuja. Because according to some traditions, this was the day when the news came to Medina that Muqtar al-Thaqafi has taken the revenge from the perpetrators of the massacre of Karbala. The likes of Umar ibn Sa'd, the likes of Shimr, the likes of Khuli, the likes of Ibn Sinan, Harmala, these kind of perpetrators, the main figures, Muqtar had rounded them up and had killed them. Now, some people object and say, how can it be that our Imam Sajjad and the Ahlul Bayt smiled at the news of someone's killing? What they smiled at was the fact that some justice has been brought to the Ahlul Bayt. In our Usul al-Din we have Tawheed, and the very next thing is Adala. Without Adala there's nothing. If someone commits a crime and they do not seek forgiveness, then there must be a form of justice measured out against that person. So it's known as Eid al-Shuja, Eid of the Brave. Another beautiful name for this day, the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, is Eid al-Zahra. Because according to some traditions, the one who killed Sayyidah Fatima or was heavily involved in her killing, he on this day was also killed. And according to other traditions, it's called Eid al-Zahra because the heart of Sayyidah Fatima on a day like this was pleased because of these occasions we are mentioning. The fact that in Karbala, the perpetrators of Karbala were brought to justice. And thirdly, that this is the formal coronation of the Imam of our time. Now again, a point in the margins. When any Ma'soom Imam, any Hujjah dies or is Shaheed or leaves this world, it's not that the next day the next Imam becomes the formal Imam. The famous tradition from the Holy Prophet that if even for a millisecond, for a moment, even for a small moment, this world was left without a Hujjah of Allah, the world would eat itself. Because there's no more connection between Allah, the divine Nizam, and the Hujjah, as in this earth. The Hujjah acts as the axis. He acts as the funnel, in other words, that connects that world, that realm, and this realm. Hence why he is known as the representative of Allah. But for the formal, as in a formal sense, we say the 9th of Rabiul Awwal is when Imam Zamana is now recognized as being the next Imam. Whereas in reality, the very millisecond that Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, whose Shahada we commemorated yesterday, left this world, Imam Zamana became the official Imam that very second. Now, there's another fourth point here, which usually in the mitai and in the glamour and in the happiness we usually forget. We've come through almost 70 days of mourning. There's a famous saying that it's easy to walk to Karbala, it's harder to walk to Imam Hussein. तरीके करबला पर चलने वाले और होते हैं और तरीके हुसैन पर चलने वाले और होते हैं. It's two very different things. As in, it's easy to go from Najaf, you book a flight, you get a visa, you go from Najaf to Karbala, that's one thing. but to walk upon the values of Imam Hussein. And I speak for myself first and foremost. What did we take outside of Muharram? The first thing is that you took the notion of service. You know, last night we mentioned that the Arba'een is the physical manifestation of the Imam of the time. You know, we can't physically see the Imam. There's many reasons for that, and we'll come to a few later on. But when you see the Arba'een, you can see how a utopian society, a society where there's freedom for everyone, will ideally look like. You see that with Arba'een. Look at Iraq, for example. Again, we mentioned this last night, that GDP-wise, you look at the Arab states or any state in the world, compare it to Iraq, Iraq's GDP is really low. It's been through wars, the war with ISIS, the war with the US, and so on. And it still is catering for up to 20 million plus people. Imagine, for example, the UK. You know, we say this in passing that, alhamdulillah, there was a great hikmah that our imams are buried in that side of the world. Imagine, for example, any of our imam, let's say, for example, Imam Hussein was buried in London or buried in Scotland. What would happen? A few thousand migrants, 5 to 10,000 migrants, cross over from Calais on boat, and you hear it non-stop on the news that our country has been taken, our jobs have been taken, X, Y, and Z. Only not even 0.01% to the population of Arba'een crosses over, and you don't hear the end of it. Imagine 20 million people coming to the UK for Arba'een. They wouldn't be able to handle it. Look at Saudi Arabia, for example. You've seen it everywhere, the Expo 2030 Saudi Arabia project. We're going to modernize the world, we're going to go forward. Up to 3 million or even 4 million Hujjaj go there, and they're on the brink of their nizam. They can't fully handle it. You saw in 2016 the stampede that happened, how many innocent lives were lost. GDP is higher, money is higher, but there's no barakah. Barakah you find in the Arba'een of Imam Hussein. You don't ever hear anyone say, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. 20 million people, minimum 2 times a day they'll eat. Where are you catering for 40 million pieces of food from? Not a single person says, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. They all leave fed, they all leave with their thirsts quenched. Where is this coming from? There's a divine barakah there. You say to anyone on the street, can you wash my clothes? Can you polish my shoes? They'll take it offensively, and rightly so. It's not a good thing to say to someone, even if it's your relative, can you polish my shoes? Can you wash my clothes for me? But in Arba'een, you see people washing your feet. You see people saying to you, please, one night, come stay in my mokib. Last year, there was this person who says, I was eating, and it was midday heat. After Zuhrain, I'm eating, and I see someone towering over me. So there's a shadow, and I thought this person is there, maybe he needs some food. So I moved a bit. Then I noticed from the corner of my eye, he's following me. So I'm thinking, this person is really tall. When he stands, he blocks the sun from me. Why is he following me? So he said, I went to the owner of the mokib. I said, can you give this mu'min some food as well? It looks like he's hungry. He's following me. He said, no, he's not following you. He's part of this mokib. He said, what do you mean? He said, although he's part of the team, he doesn't have enough funds to open his own mokib. So why is he following me? He said, he says that my service in the honor of Imam Hussein is this. I can say to Abu Abdullah on Judgment Day, I used my body to block the sun and provide shade to your zawar. So the first thing we take out of these 70 days of mourning is not just the mourning itself, it's the values and the principles of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein knew this army of Hur is going to kill me. It's going to kill me thirsty. But what did he say to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and Hazrat al-Akbar and all the shabab of the Ahlul Bayt? Feed them water. And not just them, feed the animals water. And then the Imam went further. He said, when an animal drinks, let him drink until the animal turns its face away first. Don't move the water sack out of the way. Let the animal drink until it's full as well. This kind of karama you don't find anywhere else. So the first thing we take, and this applies to me first and foremost, is this notion of service. I don't care what part of the world you're from, what's your nationality, what's your passport. All I care about is your heart and my heart is connected to the love of Imam Hussein. By blood you could be related to someone, but not still see eye to eye, because there's no barakah. When we die, where does the body go? The blood and the skin and the bones, it goes back to the earth. What stays? Your soul. This azar, this farshi azar, these days of azadari, we are all strengthening our connection together through our souls. And that's the miracle of Imam Hussein. You remember last night I said, in my humble opinion, the biggest miracle of the Ahlul Bayt was this: they taught humans how to be humans. All these other miracles like splitting of the sun and these things, they're there in the narrations, they're amazing as well. But you do that, what happens? 10 years later, people don't really remember it. Yeah, you did it then, but what about now? How are you making me progress in my life? The Ahlul Bayt taught us that as well, through this notion of service. May Allah allow all of us to go to the ziyarah, inshallah, of all of the imams, inshallah. When you go there, you see on the farsh, on the carpets, for example in Najaf, in Karbala, in Kadhmiya, in Samara, the carpets have written someone's name on it. Marhum Haj Ali Akbar Ansari. Ali Akbar Ansari was a wealthy carpenter from Iran. But his story did not start like this. Marhum Haj Ali Akbar Ansari, he started off as a person who tried to start his own business. But what would happen is he would take loans from people, they would go bust, and then they would run away from him. So now, who's the guarantor in all of these loans? Haj Ali Akbar Ansari. So all the debt collectors are coming to him, the bailiffs are coming to him. You owe us money. He said, it's not me, it's those people who were in partnership with me. They said, yes, but they run away, and your name's on the document. You're the guarantor, legally, we have to take it from you. He says, when I saw there was no way out, I went to Imam Hussein. From Iran, I went to Karbala. When I went to Karbala, I put my face in the zari. This is going back, the time of Saddam and so on. I put my face in the zari. I said, Abu Abdullah, please help me. I'm going to try and make my business again. You help me. I promise you, out of the 100% profit I make in my business, 99% is for me and 1% will be for you. How much? 1% for Imam Hussein. Now, he's not talking about physically putting the money in the zari. He meant, I'm going to feed the yateems in your honor. I'm going to give money to the local Husainiya, to the Imam Barga in your honor. So any cause related to Imam Hussein, 1% will go to that. This happened until now Haj Ali Akbar Ansari became a billionaire, so to speak, in Iran. So he came back to the zari of Imam Hussein many years later. He said, Sayyidi, you lived up to your promise, I lived up to mine. You helped me when no one helped me. Now in honor of your service, from today, 99% of my profits are for you, 1% is for me. There's such barakah in the love he had for Imam Hussein. Go to any shrine in the world, you see the carpets of Marhum Haj Ali Akbar Ansari. So the first thing we learn is service. The second thing we learn is belief in Allah. I don't just mean saying La ilaha illallah. Anyone says that. Iblis also said this. La ilaha illallah. God said, tested him, and what happened? He became Shaitan Nerajim. He said, I'll pray to you, I'll bow down to you, not your Khalifa. I don't want to go through him. Even today you see people who say what? Biddah. You Shias, you go to the Zariyas, you do matam, Biddah. You're remembering anyone other than Allah, Biddah. If it's faqat Allah only, Iblis said the same. This is the Tawheed of Iblis. Allah says, come through me, through my nizam. A beautiful story, because we mentioned it, I'll mention it as we are going in passing. The hadith says, once Rasulullah is sitting with his companions, he drew from him some lines. As you know, back then there was no carpets in Masjid al-Nabawi. It was mud and clay and straw mats. So where the Prophet is sitting in this narration, there's just clay and mud. From himself, the Prophet drew lines. One line goes this way, one line goes that way. He's trying to show, after me, some people will take you from me this way, and from me they'll take you astray that way. Then the Sahaba say, we saw Rasulullah draw one line straight from him, straight through. I said, Rasulullah, what's this? He said, this is Siratul Mustaqim. Then the companion said, Rasulullah then with that same finger pointed ahead and said, he is the epitome of Siratul Mustaqim after me. The Sahaba said, we looked up, who did we see? Ali ibn Abi Talib walking. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This notion of Tawheed, pure Tawheed, is from the Ahlul Bayt. Who taught us that Allah is Kareem, He is Sattarul Ayub, He is Musabbabul Asbab, He is Rahman, Rahim. Who taught us this? It was the Ahlul Bayt. Imagine a life without Du'a Kumail. What a life that would be. How do you speak to Allah? Imagine a life without Du'a Arafah. Those of you who've been to Hajj, you testify. Go to the Shia camps on the plains of Arafah. You see Du'a Imam Sajjad being recited. You see Du'a Imam Hussein on Arafah. Go to other Muslim camps. There's no real dua. How can you connect to Allah? Who taught you who Allah is? His sifats and everything. It's through the Ahlul Bayt. Therefore, when you go through the Ahlul Bayt, you find the pure notion of Tawheed. That you believe in Allah how He wants to be believed in. Because you find the other notions of Tawheed everywhere. Nowadays, mashallah, anyone who has a TikTok account or Instagram account opens up a live and he says whatever he wants to say. But true Nizam has to be for the hujjah of the time. You see, for example, Ibn Ziyad, Lanatullah alayhi, what did he say to Lady Zainab, alayhi salam? Did you see what God did to your brother? He never said me. Again, you see the Tawheed of Ibn Ziyad. Did you see what God did to your brother? What did Sayyidah Zainab reply? Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. Now this is the Tawheed of Sayyidah Zainab. What does ma ra'aytu illa jamila mean? Again, it's good in the bios. It's good when we say this. I saw nothing except for beauty. Some of the ulama mention this is not exactly a accurate, it's sahih, but it's not the full, you could say, translation. The word used by Lady Zainab alayhi salam is jamila. Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. She didn't say ma ra'aytu illa jamala. Jamal means beauty. Jamil is the one who holds beauty. So some of the ulama mention that the correct translation of this quote, ma ra'aytu illa jamila, is I saw nothing except for God on the day of Ashura. These people sacrificed themselves, my brothers, my sons, my nephews, they sacrificed themselves for the message of Allah. When you sacrifice yourself for the message of Allah, then you are part of that Islam which Allah wants to establish. For example, when the Quran says that, that O Prophet, when you were throwing the stones on the Kafirin of Makkah, you weren't throwing it. I was throwing it with you. There's other ayahs, Yadullah fawqa aydihim, the hand of Allah is above the hand. Now, He doesn't have a physical hand. It's metaphorical to mean honor. Or for example, Kullu man alayha fan wa yabqa wajhu rabbika dhul jalali wal ikram. Everything will be finished except for the face of your Lord. Does that mean He has a physical face, mazala? No. Honor, authority. So the second thing you learn is that the notion of Tawheed, the best form of Tawheed is through the Ahlul Bayt, the representatives of Allah. And thirdly, no matter where you go, there will always be people who have bughz of Imam Ali and the Ahlul Bayt. As Imam Ali himself says, if I feed my enemies honey, they will still hate me. And if I strike the nose of one of my Shias with my sword, he will still love me. You see, this tarbiyah gives us the role models like Salman min Ahlul Bayt, Abu Zar, Miqdad, Ammar, Yasir. It's through the universities of these Imams that we had these characters. Salman, Abu Zar, Habib ibn Mazahir, Muslim ibn Awsaja, Zuhair bin Kain were people like you and me. They had other responsibilities. But when they went through the process that the Imam wanted them to go through, they are now part of that mission itself. I don't know if you've seen, but in the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen, there are grapes on the zari. If you go home after this and you search on Google or on social media, the zari al-Muqaddas of Imam Ali alayhi salam has grapes upon it. Why? Some say because grapes are the fruits of Jannah. Well, if that's the case, Imam Hussein's shrine doesn't have grapes. Imam Musa Kazim, Imam Jawad's shrine doesn't have grapes. Imam Ayn al-Askariyan doesn't have grapes. Why only Imam Ali alayhi salam? The ulama of Najaf mention that the reason why Imam Ali's shrine has grapes is because a few years ago, an individual came to the holy shrine and he said, there's no wasila, there's no imams. I can do whatever I want to prove it to you. As in, I'm going to enter this holy shrine, holy for you, he said, the Shias. I'm not a Shia, he said. I'm going to enter this shrine and do whatever I want. Nothing will happen. And because nothing happens, there's no sanctity, mazallah. This is what he was saying. So he entered the holy shrine with a bottle of wine in his hand. He entered the actual zari of Imam Ali, he entered the inside part with wine. When he opened it to show the people, look, nothing happened to me. Therefore, this is not a sanctified area. He wanted to drink it. When he opened it, he found that that wine, which was made of grapes, had now become vinegar. Now, to make vinegar from wine as a scientific chemical process, you have to really burn, because you know vinegar is halal, it's tahir. And the vessel in which the vinegar is made, that's also, in terms of fiqh, halal, it's tahir. So he was shocked when he opened the bottle that it was wine a few seconds ago. Now it's vinegar. How did this happen? He said, this is Allah trying to tell me that this is a holy muqaddas place. He became a Shia that very moment. Hence why you see grapes on the zari of Imam Ali. But what's the point of mentioning this? There will always be certain individuals. This is what we learn from Muharram. Imam Hussein said to the army of Umar ibn Sa'd, why do you want to kill me? I'm the Prophet's grandson. This is his amama. This is his abba. This is his sword. They said, yes, we agree. We know you're the Prophet's grandson. So he said, why do you want to kill me? They said, because the bughs we have for your father. Then Imam Hussein said, I'm trying to tell you there's a better life. Don't do this. But then the Imam says, no matter how much I talk to you, there's no point. Because there's haram in your stomachs. It doesn't mean they were eating pork. It's because the money they used was a ghasab. There was money that was not, there was no khums paid upon it. It was money that was stolen. Anything you have stolen and used that to buy even halal food has haram effects. The Imam said, that's why you're not listening to me. You listen, but you're not understanding. Therefore, you find that the bughs of Imam Ali is ripe then, it's ripe now, and it will be there till the Day of Judgment. But like Rasulullah said, Haqqo ma'al Ali wa aliyun ma'al haqq. My late respected teacher, Ayatollah Fadil Milani, may Allah bless his soul. I'm sure everyone has heard of him before. He, mashallah, really propagated the works of the Ahlul Bayt across Europe and in Arabia. May Allah bless his soul, inshallah. He says, I went to one conference in Egypt, and I was the only Jafri Ithna'shari scholar there. It's a round table. There's scholars from all other denominations in Islam, the Hanafis, the Malikis, the Shafis. I'm the only one representing Shia Islam. So I sat down. The first round of talks was say your name, where you're from, and then present your paper after. So he says, I was in Jamiat al-Azhar. I went there. I said, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyid Fadil Milani. I am from Najaf Ashraf. He said, the main mufti who was chairing this meeting, this academic conference, he stood up. He said, Sayyid Fadil, why are you saying Najaf Ashraf? Just say Najaf. You see, even the land he's buried in, they can't take the full name of that. Just say Najaf. Ashraf basically means that land which is high. Bala, it's very high. Sayyid Fadil Milani says, I went quiet. Then I replied to him, I said, oh, Sheikh Mufti, this university, what's its full name? He said, Jamia Azhar Sharif. Sharif means what? That land which is also high. He said, why is this a high university? It's a normal university full of books. And the Mufti replied, because this is a place of knowledge. Any place of knowledge in Islam is high. So he said, why is Najaf not Ashraf? For Rasulullah said, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. That the door to the city of knowledge is through Ali. That land in which Ali is buried, that is also high. Therefore, you find that this notion of the bughs of Imam Ali, there back then, here, until the Day of Judgment. I'll mention one more very beautiful example and we'll take our topic forward. In the Ottoman Empire, again, the narration says that during the Ottoman Empire, one of the kings came to visit the holy shrine of the Imam. When he entered, back then there was no cars, this is the 1800s, he came on his horse. He came with his two wazirs. One was a Shia, one was a non-Shia. The non-Shia, when he saw the shrine of Imam Ali, he kept walking normally. The Ottoman king, he came off his horse initially, then he jumped back onto his horse. And he said to his wazirs, should I come off my horse and take off my shoes? Because the Shia wazir took off his shoes. So there's two wazirs now. One has his shoes on, the Shia mu'min doesn't have his shoes on. He said, then why did you take your shoes off? He says, because it's Imam Ali's holy shrine. This is a holy land. He said, should I do the same? The Shia wazir said yes, because he is the rightful successor of Rasulullah. Man kuntu mawla fahadha aliyin mawla. He has so many fadails. You should in honor of Imam Ali. The non-Shia representative said no, because he was the king in his time. You're the king now. This is what happens when you see the Aimma as normal people. The Prophet is a normal man. At the age of 40, he got randomly selected. Ma'azallah. There's no spirituality. Islam gives us spirituality. He says, let's do istikhara. They opened the Quran and he said, whatever the Quran tells me, I'll do that. When he opened the Quran, what was the first ayah on the right side? Ya Musa, fakhlan alayka innaka bil wadil muqaddas tawa. O Musa, take your shoes off. You're in a very holy land. Ya Ali. Therefore, you see that this is a very happy day. Eid Zahra, Eid Shuja. This is a very happy occasion that the formal coronation of our Imam has happened. But what makes us truly Husseini is what we took out the past 70 days approximately. It didn't go for nothing. And even if it's one thing, be it the service we're doing, be it our akhlaq, be it the softness of your heart, whatever it may be. Perhaps you've understood Imam Hussein differently this year. You've understood Ali Akbar alayhi salam differently this year. Whatever it may be, hold on to that one thing. Till next year, you see that one becomes two. Then the two becomes four. There's a divine barakah in this. Coming to our topic now, what is true ma'rifah of the Imam of my time? For the Holy Prophet said, Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata maytatan jahiliya. He who dies but does not recognize the Imam of his time dies the death of jahiliya. Firstly, why jahiliya? Why not kufr? I thought being a kafir is worse. Yes. But when you're a kafir, there's always a chance you become a Muslim or a mu'min. If certain proofs are put forth to you, you become a Muslim or a mu'min. For example, the atheist says, La ilaha. He shares the kalma with us, by the way. The atheist out there who doesn't believe in God says the same. There's no God. We say, La ilaha illallah. There's no God except one God. They're always halfway there. Usually they've met someone who looks religious and they've seen their akhlaq and they're like, if this person is so bad, then this whole religion must be like this. That's not the case. With a kafir, there's always a chance. With a jahil, there's no chance. No matter what daleel you give him or her, they don't want to believe, they won't believe. But the Prophet said, he who does not recognize, that means having 313 in my bio, having the name of the Imam in my pocket, for barakah, that's all fine. You know the names of the 12 Imams. But did we truly recognize them? How can you recognize them? When you apply their practical examples in your life. Whatever vessel you put forth to Islam, the purer it is, the purer and cleaner it is, the more you take in. I'll give you an example. If, for example, I get this cup of water and my respected Aziz Uncle Saklan comes and I say, I'm really thirsty. And I give him the glass of water and mashallah, because of your barakah, and today's Eid Zahra, Uncle has the water from Jannah. And he's pouring this into the cup. But there's a problem. The cup has a hole in it. And no matter how much he's pouring it to me now, where's the water going to go? Onto my feet, onto the mimbar, onto the floor. Now if I look at Uncle and I say, I think there's a problem with your water. Uncle has the right to say to me, no, Sayyid, there's a problem with your brain. Your cup, the vessel you're putting forward has a problem. There's no problem with the source. The problem is with the cup you're putting forward. You're thirsty, yes, but change your cup. Or at least fix it. If there's a hole in your cup, there's no point. Or if you have a cup which is perfectly fine and there's blood in it, no matter how much water you pour, the water will be red. The respected Grand Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi, may Allah give him a long life, in Qum, he's written a tafsir called Tafsir Nemune. And in that tafsir he mentions Surah Rad, verse number 17. And very briefly I'm going to paraphrase for you. He says, when the Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أنزل من السماء ماء فصالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زودا رابيا. Allah sends water down, and I'm paraphrasing it very quickly. Allah sends water down. Sometimes that water falls on clean land, it produces clean water. Sometimes it falls on dirty land, it produces dirty water. When this water is now in the valley, the dirty water eventually goes away. And the haqq, as in the truth, the pure water will always be there. But there's still dirty water somewhere. It's known as the scum, basically. That thing that has no point, there's no use of it. Allah is saying here that no matter where the source comes from, the source is pure, it's coming from Allah. But it's the difference in the grounds. Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi says, if the ground is muddy, the water falls in it, the foam will be muddy. You can't use it for nothing. So there's no problem in the source. The problem is with what cup you're putting forward. Similarly, with these teachings we have that he who dies without recognizing the Imam of his time, how can that be? It's about purifying ourselves first. And these past 70 days have been the best examples. Your hearts now are softer than they were maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Why? Because that message of Imam Hussein is still within you. Don't let that lamp burn. Inna al-Husaynu misbahul huda wa safinatun najat. And there's a very strong link between Imam Hussein and Imam al-Zamana. We're going to finish with that inshallah very shortly. But the point being, he who does not recognize the Imam of his time. If today is Eid al-Zahra, Eid al-Shuja, where we formally are celebrating many occasions, one of them being that my Imam, the Imam of my time, is formally now coronated as the Imam of the time, then I need to ask myself also, would he be happy with me coming to him? Now, don't think the Imam is like you and me. He's very kareem. What do I mean by kareem? There's a zati thing, and there's a zahir, and there's a batin. Zahir is what you see. I'm wearing glasses, I'm wearing a certain type of clothing, this carpet is green. This is what's zahir in front of you. Batin is what's inside of it. Usually you cannot see the batin. But usually, however, one day or another, the effects of that person, the way he talks to you, it will manifest what was really inside his heart. You have a friend who always says, I'm with you. And then you get better grades than him, and then he stops talking to you. That means, Zahiri, he was with you, but Batini, he was jealous of you. This mic is black. If I paint this yellow, and due to kasrat istimal, I use this for the next 20 years, eventually, the yellow will fade away. And the true color will come out. Even if I cut this in half, it will still be black. Because the Zat and the Batin both are black basically. It's the color which you see. And inside it's the same. Similarly, the Ahlul Bayt are on the Haqq. Haqq is part of the Zahir and the Batin. They are Kareem, they are merciful. Not because they saw someone else being merciful. Their Zat and their Batin was also full of mercy. The Imams are not like you and me. They are there to connect you to Allah. In the time of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, when the Imam looks at you and me, he can see your maqam in the eyes of Allah. And he tries his best to connect you to a higher position out of the mercy in his heart. The narration says when the Zaid goes to the ziyarah of Imam Hussein, the Imam sees you and he knows you better than your own father. He knows your whole shajar nasab. That means he recognizes you for who you are. There's only one of you, by the way. You may resemble your mother, your father, your grandfather, your uncle. But when you leave this world, when I leave this world, when you leave this world, there's only one of you. There will never ever be another one of you ever again in history. That's how important you are. You're very unique. Don't think I'm worth nothing. Who says that? The West? You're nothing because you don't have certain possessions? Who brought this ideal? Islam says compete with each other in terms of your taqwa. When the Imam sees you and me, he can see what we're going through. He can see what's in your heart. He can see perhaps even some of the sins we've committed, and due to that we are suffering. In this tradition one day, this youth, now in Arabic terminology, anyone below the age of 34 is a youth. But inshallah, anyone with the love of the Ahlul Bayt is also youth. It's not exactly defined and stopped by age. You saw in Karbala, the likes of Habib ibn Mazahir, 70 years plus, fighting so bravely. The likes of Abi Shakiri, 90 years plus, fighting so bravely. Where is he getting this power from? Because of the love he has for the Imam. He's connected to a divine source. When this youth was in his home, he did a certain sin. Perhaps he was drinking alcohol, whatever it was. He did a sin. The narration does not say what sin it was. But it was so bad, he felt so guilty. You know, in Dua Kumail, for example, we read that, oh Allah, sometimes the sin I do is so bad, I feel like the world has shrunk on me. This world which is so big has become small. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen says in one hadith, look at the beauty of Allah. We think Allah's going to send us to hell. No, He's trying to send you to Jannah. One good deed, minimum 10 you get. One bad deed for the first 7 to 8 hours, the hadith says, Allah does not even record it. Maybe you do tawbah. Imam Ali says, when someone is scared of something, they run away from it. But oh my Lord, when we're scared of you, we run towards you. What beauty that is. I love you more than your mother. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say. This youth did this sin, he couldn't take it anymore. He ran out of his home in Medina. When he left his home, he entered the bazaar. He's trying to take his mind off the sin. Who does he see walking towards him? Imam Ja'far Sadiq. Now he's thinking, this is the last person I want to see. Because he knows what I'm going through. And I've shut him now. I feel shy and shameful that if there's a camera on me, I won't do certain things. But when there's no camera, I feel like no one's watching me. But Allah says, I'm always there. This youth, he says, I saw the Imam, he began running, not running, but walking very quickly in the bazaar. He takes a right from one street, he looks behind, at a distance, Imam Sadiq is also taking a right. He goes to the end of that street, takes a left. He looks from behind, at a distance, Imam Sadiq is following him. Eventually, he reaches a dead end. Now this is a brick wall, so to speak, there's nothing beyond it. He looks behind in the alley, Imam Sadiq has turned into that dead street as well, that dead end. Now, nowadays, with all this technology, if you don't want to talk to someone and he's in front of you, what do? You pretend like you're busy. You pretend like someone's calling you. Or you message someone, please call me because I don't want to talk to that person. Yes? In that time, there was no technology. So what does this youth do? He had a kamarband, he had a belt, which, they held their swords and their money and everything. He opened it and he pretended like it dropped on the floor. So now he picked up the belt and he's trying to fix the belt. And he's looking at it, oh, this hook goes there. So he's trying to ignore the Imam. Just then he felt a hand on his shoulder from behind. It was a hand of mercy. And the Imam said to him, "O Mu'min," look at the word, "O Mu'min, no matter what sin you do, don't ever turn your back on us, the Ahlul Bayt. We are here to connect you to Allah. We don't cut the tie. You're the ones who cut the tie. Don't do that. Don't feel like my sin is so bad that I can't go through any wasila. No, we have the best of wasilas. Our Imam is still alive. Imam Zamana. Therefore, when you see Islam through this angle, you realize how important your Imam is. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yawma nad'u kullu unasim bi imamihim. On that day we'll raise each and every human being with the Imam. Who is our Imam? The Imam of your time. The hadith says, if you consider a rock to be your Imam, on Judgment Day you'll be raised with the rock. Allah, this stone does nothing to me. Yeah, but on earth you believed it to be your Imam. That means any person, any celebrity, any politician, whatever it may be, who you consider to be the only person who can guide me, well, so be it, you'll be with them on Judgment Day. We have the best of Hadis, the likes of the Ma'soom in Islam. This is why the tradition says, once the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajal. He's in Masjid al-Nabawi and he's reciting Surah Qadr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. As he's reciting this, the Prophet is crying. So the Sahabas came and they were like, Rasulullah, why are you crying and you're reciting Surah Qadr? Rasulullah, as he was crying and reciting this surah, he pointed to Imam Ali. He did an ishara to Imam Ali, who was next to him. So now these Sahabis thought, maybe Ali has finally done something which we can now use against him. Because now the Prophet is crying, reading Surah Qadr, and he's pointing to Ali. So they were now like, Rasulullah, tell us quickly, what's happened? Rasulullah said, I have a few questions. If you answer my questions, you will get your answer. What's the question, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah says, Allah man tanazzalil malaika. Who do these angels come upon? Tanazzalul malaikatu wa ruhu fiha bi'izni rabbihim min kulli amr. Now on that night of Qadr, which happens every year, the angels come to someone. Rasulullah says, who do they come to? They said, Alayka, qala alayka ya Rasulullah. They come to you. Rasulullah said, Sahih. This is correct. Then the Prophet said, Laylatul Qadr mustamarra ba'da mawti. Will Laylatul Qadr happen after I die as well? As in when I die, it's not Judgment Day. You're still going to live. So will Laylatul Qadr happen after I die? They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, this is also correct. Third question. Tanzil malaika fi laylatul qadr ba'da mawti. When I die, will the angels also come to someone on that night when I'm not here? Said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, correct. Fourth question. Allah man tanzil malaika ba'da mawti. Ya Sahaba, or my companions, who will the angels come to after me on Laylatul Qadr? I said, La nadri ya Rasulullah, we don't know. Then the hadith says beautifully, Rasulullah wadiyada ala ra'si Ali wa qal illam tadriya fadriya huwa hadha min ba'di. After me, the angels will come upon him. He put his hand upon the head, over the head of Imam Ali, they will come to him. And the hadith goes forward, it says, after Ali, they'll come to Hassan. then Hussein. Then he said the whole of the 12 Imams' names, and he said it will end with my son, the Mahdi. أولنا محمد وأوسطنا محمد وآخرنا محمد كلنا محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى We finish with these last 2 or 3 examples just to really cement our point that what are we taking from this Eid? This is known as Eid al-Ghadir al-Thani. It's the second Eid al-Ghadir because of the fact that Imam al-Zamana, he's so important in our life. We don't usually mention him, but this is why this Eid is so important. Abu Harun Makhfuf was an individual in the time of Imam Baqir who was blind. There are 3 types of blind people. 2 are scientific, 1 is based on his mind. The first is someone who is blind but partially blind. He has eyes, but because of some cataracts or because of some eye disease, he or she eventually stops seeing medically. But there's a potential, maybe he or she will gain a cure and they'll see again. The eyeballs, so to speak, are there. The second type of blind person is someone whose eyes, they have no eyeballs. So when they're born, due to one reason or another, or after due to some surgery, the eyeballs are removed. So to speak, the skin now, where the eyeballs will sit, is sewed together now. There's no eyeballs, so there's no chance this person will see again. The third type of blindness is someone who sees the haqq, but still chooses not to see it. And in my opinion, that's the worst type. Because that means now it's not just about physically seeing. There are many people who are near the Kaaba, but they are far from Allah. There are many people who are near Rasulullah, but they are far from the deen. Physical proximity does not mean nothing if your spiritual proximity is not there. Some people don't get to go for ziyarah. That doesn't mean you're far from Imam Hussein. No. Ziyarah is a physical thing. There are many people who go to ziyarah, but they're not spiritually there. And there are many people who will be here in Leeds, mashallah, every day your soul does the tawaf of the zari of Imam Hussein. It's possible. It's about how you connect, right? In this example, Imam Baqir says that I'm going to enter Masjid al-Nabawi. He said to his companion Abu Basid, and in some traditions it's another companion. Regardless, he said to his companion, we're going to enter Masjid al-Nabawi. I'm going to go into ghaibah. Only the true mu'mineen will be able to see me. He said, that must be everyone, because there's so many Muslims here, and you're the Imam. The Imam said, walk in and you'll see. Tradition says they walk in, and he says, Imam Baqir said, ask this person, has he seen me? The Imam is standing in front of him, but now he's in ghaibah. He went to the first person, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Have you seen Abu Ja'far? Have you seen Imam Baqir? He said, no, I haven't seen him in 1 week. The Imam is in front of him. But because spiritually he did not believe in the Imam, he couldn't see him. Imam said, go to the second person. Ask him, can he see me? He went to the second person. Can you see Imam Baqir? He said, no. It's been 2 weeks since I saw him. Now this companion felt heartbroken. They went to each and every person. They all saying, we haven't seen him. Just then Abu Harun Makhfuf entered. Makhfuf means he was the second type of blind person. He had no eyeballs. There's no chance he'll see physically. He entered Masjid al-Nabawi using the wall and his stick to walk in. Imam Baqir says, ask him, can he see me? He said, Sayyidi, with all due respect, people with eyes could not see you. He doesn't have eyes. How can he see you? Imam says, I'm telling you, go ask him. So now Abu Harun was approached. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Can you see Imam Baqir? He replied, are you trying to make fun of me? He said, no, Abu Harun, I'm just asking. Can you see Imam Baqir? What did he reply? He said, how can I not see Imam Baqir? He said, Ajib. People with eyes said we can't see him. The Imam was in front of them. You can't physically see Imam Baqir. How are you saying, how can I not see him? He says, I don't need physical eyes to see him. His nur is shining right in front of me. What was he talking about? His spiritual connection with the Imam was such. He listened and did what the Imam ordered him to do. It's very basic things. Namaz, respect to your parents, respect to the mu'mineen, that's it. It's not a rocket science that you have to be reading this azkar 1,000,000 times a day, this azkar 2,000,000 times a day. This is not what spirituality is. Spirituality is staying away from the haram, taqwa, and going towards the good. You know, Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, when he read that zikr Yunusiyya, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, he read it on the 3rd night. So the whale swallowed him. He read this on the 3rd night. The hadith says, had he read this on the 1st night, the whale would have spat him out. How many times did he read that zikr? 100 times? 1,000,000 times? Once. Allah inspired him and he said once, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. Allah forgave him that instant. Of course, he's a prophet. He didn't do a sin. It's more so tarki awla, which is a topic for another day. He made the wrong choice. But the point being, he read it once, that zikr yunasiyah once with the proper intention. The whale spat him out immediately. It's about what intention we bring, right? Abu Harun could see the Imam of his time because his heart was that pure. The vessel, like Surah Rad, verse 17, what vessel you present to the Imam of the time, to Allah. And we finish with this. When Imam Zamana has his zuhur, what does he say? You know, for example, I'm not from Leeds. So if I come here, alhamdulillah, now I'm much more aware due to your akhlaq and your warm reception and your love, alhamdulillah. I leave now as someone who is part of your community, alhamdulillah. I hope you accept me as well. I just won't support Leeds Football Club, but everything else I will be a part of, inshallah. Now, imagine I came here for the first time, like last night. I don't know anyone here. I would say, do you know someone from London, for example? Because I'm trying to build a common denominator with you. I don't know you, you don't know me, but you know that person in London who may be your relative. Because of that person, their wasila, now you know me. We have a common denominator. Imam Zamana comes for the first time in front of many people on the Kaaba. What does he say? All other 11 Imams, when they introduce themselves based on Rasulullah. I am the grandson of Rasulullah. I am Rasulullah, like Imam Ali. I am his cousin. I am the Rasulullah's cousin. Imam Hassan Hussein, we are the grandson of the Prophet. Imam Musa Kazim, I am the grandson of the Prophet. What does Imam Zamana say? Allah ya ahla alam, inna jaddi al-Husaynu qataluhu atshana. My grandfather Hussein was the one killed thirsty. He's on the Kaaba now. On top of the Kaaba, everyone's watching him. And the hadith says people will understand this bayan of the Imam in their own languages. This is part of the signs of the zuhur. Back then people were thinking, so he'll be speaking Arabic and the non-Arabs will be able to understand him? Maybe it's a miracle. Today when you turn the news on, any TV channel, the news is in Japanese. What do they translate it to you in the UK? In English. So the ulama mention that this tradition, the prophets and the imams spoke based on the people's knowledge. They couldn't tell them that in the zuhur of the imam there'll be technology, there'll be tanks, there'll be jets, there'll be planes. They couldn't understand these things. They couldn't fathom them. There'll be TVs. Up until a few years ago, in some villages, people, whenever they would come in front of the TV, they would come with the hijab, men and women. Why? They will say, because we can see this person in a box, so they can see us as well. The point being that when the Imam is now speaking, what is he using as his denominator? I am the grandson of Hussein. That means the ulama mention, in the time of the zuhur of Imam Zamana, the majority of the people of the world, be it the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Sikh, the Shia, the non-Shia, the agnostic, whatever he or she is, they will know who Hussein is. And when Imam Zamana says, I am the grandson of that Hussein, they'll recognize Imam Zamana, the Mahdawiyyat of the Imam Mahdi, through the Husayniyat of Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So you're following that. That means in Akhir Zaman, the importance of Imam Hussein will be such. Don't you see now with Arba'in, many non-Muslims are going there? So this is now, we're living in the Akhir Zaman, so to speak, the ulama mentioned. Non-Muslims are going to Arba'in, they're posting it on the TikTok, on the Instagram, they're getting 10, 20 million likes and views. People are now saying, okay, this is the Arba'in of Imam Hussein. Okay, this is the grandson of the Prophet, he was killed like this. This was not happening 10, 15 years ago. It's happening now. That should get you and me excited that potentially we are in touching distance of the zuhur, inshallah, of our Imam. Of course, we can't say when it is, but at least it gives us some hope. My grandfather, your grandfather, my great-grandfather, your great-grandfather, they heard these traditions. We are now blessed to be in the age where you're seeing some of them come true now. And there are many ulamats, the conditions, the signs of Imam Zamana coming back may not all come true, but the conditions need to be there. And the main condition is that the people need to be ready. The second Imam Zamana comes out of the zuhur, he is now in the custody of the people. So Allah said the 11 Imams before him were killed easily. People were not fully protecting them. I will only send this 12th one when the people are now fully ready. That means you and I have a part to play. So inshallah today when we leave this center, you need to have in your mind that I am part of the 313. It's not that I'm gonna be, no, I am now. When you think it, you believe it. When you believe it, then you see it in your a'mal. And so we end with some words of poetry regarding Lady Fatima, as it's Eid Zahra as well. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajir farajah. Hazrat Hur got his maqam because of Lady Fatima. He met Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein's horse was stopped. Imam Hussein said, Hur, may your mother sit in your janazah. What did Hur say? Any other man in the whole of Arabia said this to me, I would say the same to his mother. Your mother's Bibi Fatima. I can't say nothing to her. Then when Imam Hussein, because he had mentioned now the mother of Hur in a bad way, because Imam Hussein wanted that light to come out. Imam was trying to take it, otherwise Hur would have been the likes of Shimr, he would have been in the army. That basira he got was because of his respect for Sayyidah Fatima. Now when Hur is shaheed, Imam Hussein came to him in his final moments. He said something negative about his mother. Now the Imam is saying, what a beautiful name your mother named you. The only shaheed on Karbala, on Ashura in Karbala, who had the handkerchief of Sayyidah Fatima tied to his forehead. No other shaheed had that except for her. So the poet says that Dunya na samat saki surah takwir Sayyida. ये है बस तेरे जलाल की एक तस्वीर फातिमा और बुन रही है एक रुमाल मोहम्मद की लाडली या लिख रही है हुर तेरी तकदीर फातिमा. We end by asking Ya Mahmud bihaqq Muhammad, Ya A'la bihaqq Ali, Ya Fatir as-samawati wal ard bihaqq Fatima, Ya Muhsin bihaqq Hassan, Ya Qadim al-Ihsan bihaqq Hussein. O our Lord, for the sake of this grand day, for the sake of the holy infallibles involved on this grand day, accept our humble offering. O Allah, forgive us of our sins. O Allah, bless us and our families. O Allah, give shafa to all of our marees. O Allah, bless the souls of all of our marhumeen. O Allah, allow us to visit the holy lands of Karbala. O Allah, allow us to see the zuhur of Imam al-Zamana, and allow us to be with our Imam fi dunya wa fil qabr wa fil akhirah. In honor of the 12th Imam, can we recite a loud salawat?